So in this video, I want to give my thoughts on Tina Knowles' new docuseries called Profile the Black Man. And I want to discuss this from an angle that I haven't heard yet on YouTube, and that's from a promotional angle, because y'all know that's what I do over here. So Trail Thomas, Tina Knowles, and OWN decided to partner up and create a documentary to attempt to debunk the negative stereotypes about Black men. And the names of the episodes are as follows: Black men are dangerous, Black men are absent fathers, Black men devalue Black women, and Black men don't cry. These are the quote-unquote myths and stereotypes that they're trying to debunk in this docuseries. So what I see this as is a fluffy, mainstream, watered-down attempt to not only convince white people not to fear Black men, but also brainwash and gaslight Black women into ignoring our reality with Black men, especially in episode 3, Black men don't devalue Black women. And I actually heard that colorism was addressed in that episode, but it was covered very poorly. And that's not surprising to me, because based on the previews and the description, I know exactly what this is. What they did is bring on a bunch of Black men and Black women to defend Black men, presented the extreme minority of Black men who are either pro-Black, who have Black businesses, trying to make it seem like they represent the collective of Black men, threw some crumbs in there for Black women, saying how much Black men love us and support us, without truly getting to the heart of the issues in the Black community. And this is why nothing will ever change, because the real conversations will never go mainstream. And this may sound far-fetched, but if you ask me, this docuseries is actually a response to the current online conversation and the gender war between Black women and Black men. They're getting really scared, you guys. They see that Black women are finally starting to have standards, and we're beginning to separate ourselves from Black men. So this is an attempt to bring us back on their side, or just bring Black people together in general. And I think it'll work for the people who aren't tuned in into the real conversations, but for us online who hear what Black men say about us every day, we see this for what it is. And that's reflected in the comment section of the docuseries trailer on YouTube. Black women are not having it. And this is what happens when you ignore the real conversation that's taking place and you put that watered down mess on television instead. This docuseries is extremely tone deaf, in my opinion. I mean, even them attempting to debunk colorism is a joke, considering that they made Tina Knowles the main face of the docuseries. And don't get me wrong, I am not complaining at all. I would rather it be Tina than a dark-skinned Black woman, because she is their preference. But my point is, when they say they value Black women, they're usually talking about mixed women like Tina. And aside from her being Beyonce's mother, that's likely why she's the face of this docuseries, despite there being other executive producers that are Black women. So they can't even hide their colorism as they attempt to prove that they're not colorist. They're going to use a rich, privileged, mixed woman to tell Black women, most of which who are dark and brown skinned, unambiguous Black women, see, ladies, Black men do value you. They really do love you. That just shows you how out of touch all of them are. And this is not to say that she's never been treated poorly by Black men, but she's been adored and sheltered by Black men pretty much her entire life. Of course, she's going to sing their praises because she can't really relate to the typical unambiguous Black woman experience. So I expect this from Tina. And it was super cringy what she said about the media, quote unquote, portraying Jay-Z as a gangster rapper. Ma'am, your son-in-law is a gangster rapper. That is what he's wanted to be seen as for a few decades now. He doesn't want to change his image. And I also found it interesting that the second episode that's attempting to debunk that Black fathers aren't in the home, that actually contradicts what the manosphere says online. Because according to them, single mothers raise Black children on their own, and that's why the Black community is so fucked up. And I said this on my channel a long time ago about the double talk from Black men about this. 1 minute they're in the home and the next they aren't in the home, and single mothers are raising all these fucked up children all by themselves. And Black men are so fucked up because they're being raised by single mothers. That's the narrative that exists online. But see, Black men are okay with using whatever narrative suits them at the time, but they would never allow us to be contradictory like that. And it's such a shame that Black women as a collective are letting Black men get away with that double talking. We allow Black men to get away with contradicting themselves a lot because they can't be involved and uninvolved at the same time as fathers. I mean, how does that even work? But notice how black men online, they aren't pushing back against this documentary at all, even if it's contradictory to what a lot of them say online, because it's mostly in their favor. Black men don't push back against anything that makes them look good, and that is what I want the main takeaway to be from this video. Black men as a group are not complaining about this docuseries, and they don't complain about their corrective promotion like black women do. I saw on Instagram that black menswear was in the documentary, and I've heard about them before. It's basically where a bunch of black men, they put on suits and they come together, they congregate or they march or they protest around different cities in their suits to create the narrative that they have their shit together and they are not dangerous and they are distinguished, classy black men. And obviously, if they don't actually mobilize and create infrastructure and become what they're trying to be seen as and become the main face of black men as opposed to Pookie and Ray Ray, who in fact are most of them, wearing suits alone won't change how they are perceived by the larger society, i.e. white people. But they at the very least will fake it until they make it. And I haven't seen one video from black men online about how this is respectability politics and how it's classist and elitist and doesn't reflect the majority of black men. Not saying that no black men have ever pushed back against this, but I'm sure it's not many of them because we would have seen it by now. But black women, on the other hand, we're having literal meltdowns in videos about black women in luxury. See, black men are backwards in a lot of ways, but one thing about them, they are not going to argue about their corrective promotion. It doesn't matter if it reflects reality or not. It doesn't matter if all black men can't fit in. They know it makes them look good as a collective. It doesn't matter if it's capitalist or classist or any of that shit. They gonna accept their corrective promotion. And it's funny because things like this show you that black men completely understand why promotion is important. Even though they've been telling black women, and especially dark-skinned black women for years, that promotion doesn't matter. They're telling dark-skinned women to this day that corrective promotion won't work because we need to show the world better behavior instead. And that's the only way corrective promotion for dark-skinned women will work. But as we can see, that's actually not required for black men. They can actively push for and create gangster rap promotion, misogynistic lyrics, colorist promotion, and they can still get a documentary that says, no, we're really not like that though. But the black men and their pick-me's are online telling dark-skinned women, oh, you need to fix your image in real life before you can get better promotion. They can get a docuseries and suddenly they're the most present fathers. They value black women. They're not colorists. They aren't dangerous. Black women don't have that luxury. And that's why black women, and especially dark-skinned black women on this side, that's why we're rolling our eyes at this docuseries. It's not as simple as quote unquote having penis envy. The problem is that what y'all tell us we have to do for positive promotion and a better image versus what y'all tell black men they have to do is totally different. And black men get all of this context when it comes to their condition as well. And black women, we get very little. It's extremely lopsided, and that is the problem. And that's why when the black feminists say that black people online shouldn't be blaming each other for structural problems, they fail to mention that black men as a collective, they do not and will not ever apply that logic for black women. So if black women were to solely focus on structural problems, it would be completely one-sided. We'd be blaming the system for everything that they do, and they would just be blaming us for everything. That's why for me, I refuse. I'm not going to give you all of this context if you're not going to give it to me. Black women, for the most part, are the only ones being preached at about taking personal accountability and personal responsibility. This is why I don't know how black men online can continue to create the false narrative that the black community has only uplifted black women, when black women especially are always talking about how wonderful black men are. They're always putting their plight ahead of ours. Black women especially are constantly screaming to the world how much they love and adore black men. That's why this documentary was able to exist. And I mean, we can see this reflected online as well. Look at the amount of black male pick-me channels are online. A new one pops up every day. And speaking of the pick-me's, when it comes to them responding to the pushback of this docuseries, I think it's extremely irresponsible for black men and their pick-me's online to try to minimize the black femicide data when black women are getting killed at a higher rate than everybody. It doesn't matter that it's 2,000 black women a year out of millions, What matters is that it's happening to us at a higher rate. What matters is that 60% of Black women are abused by the age of 18. What matters is that over 60,000 Black women and girls are missing. And then when you get into the misogyny and the colorism, it makes it even worse. And so you can't tell a group of women who are most at risk of something not to worry just because it's only 2,000 Black women out of millions. That's not how it works. And that's like us telling Black men that because only 100 of them, or however many it is, out of the millions that get killed by the police every year, that it's insignificant. No, what matters to them is that they are more likely to be targeted by the police than anyone else. But the fact that Black men can't give us that context and they don't see it that way for us, it goes to show you that they don't as a collective care, but we're always expected to add context for them. And the problem is not that they are attempting to correct their image in this documentary. The problem is that we don't get this kind of support in return when it comes to our promotion. If we did, nobody would care about your little documentary. And honestly, that's why you can't listen to a lot of what Black men say online, because they can't make basic connections, or either they refuse to. And it's like at that point, they can't be taken seriously. They just can't. And that's why my videos on this channel are for Black women. They're not for Black men. And I want to say something to Black women about this. If we can get on code to push back against this docuseries, then we need to also get on code to prioritize our own image. Because I have to say this, but I find it very interesting that some of the same Black women who are usually divestors that criticize colorism channels and corrective promotion, you all been out of shape about Tina's documentary, and you're sounding just like me when I discuss light-skinned biracial women and their privilege and their promotion and how they're tone deaf to this kind of stuff. When I say it, I'm hating on light-skinned women. I'm being told by divestors to stop talking about colorism. So it's interesting that I hear many of you sounding just like me on this. See, some of you want to appear so unbothered and unfazed by colorism to Black men, but in the end, you reveal that you actually do care about colorism. You actually do care about corrective promotion when things like this happen. You're so focused on proving something to Black men that actually helping Black women in your image and having a well-rounded conversation about colorism and how it relates to promotion and image, you shoot it down because you don't want to look like a hater. Well, when things like this happen and you sound like me, you're going to look like one anyway. They're going to call you a hater anyway. But some of you can't even get Black men off the brain long enough to understand why even outside of Blackistan, both colorism discussions and corrective promotion are important. Black men may be fucked up, but they're going to support and create whatever exclusive promotion that makes them look good. And that's whether they date interracially, whether they're divested, or whether they stay in the Black community. That's why so many of them participated in this documentary. And if they didn't, they silently supported it. And I guarantee you, if I proposed a similar documentary for Black women, and especially dark-skinned Black women, y'all would lose your shit. You would lose your minds. You would call me divisive. You would start talking about respectability politics and how we don't need to prove anything to anybody and how they're still going to think we're this and we're that. Even if we do a documentary outside of Blackistan, colorism doesn't matter. That kind of stupid logic is part of why we continue to lose in the promotion department, and Black men and non-Black women will continue to win. They don't fight their desirable promotion like we do. They allow it to exist even if it's not true. And non-Black women do the same for their promotion, including mixed women. That's why those two groups will always win in this area, because they gladly accept whatever is going to boost their image. Black women don't even realize that we push back against everything we need to do that Black men already do so that docuseries like this can exist. Now, Black women, we're scrambling to try to get this documentary canceled when we could have already had a counter to it if we didn't constantly sabotage our own positive promotion. We put energy towards the wrong things. Black women are extremely short-sighted. We're always late to the party. We only understand the impact of positive promotion or corrective promotion when it's too late, or when somebody else is being correctively promoted instead of us. So Black women, be mindful the next time you want to nitpick your corrective promotion and shut it down because it's tied to all these oppressive systems. Remember that nobody else is worried about any of that when their image is being promoted correctively. Only you are worried about that. And that's why we will always finish last. So that's all I wanted to say about this. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.